What is up, everybody? Glad to see. Got Julian in the chat already lighting it up. As always, before we even get started today, feel free any point to chime in during the chat um, with your thoughts, your comments, your opinions. We want to hear it all. If you saw the race, if you didn't see the race, I don't want to say that we are a gossip show, but sometimes the rumors that we hear on Instagram during the week end up being true. So whatever you got, make sure you drop it off in the comments for sure or in the chat. So we are going over today the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. To be honest, it was probably not the most exciting race of the whole entire year that we'll see. Obviously, race number two, so uh, we got a lot more races to go, but probably not one of the more exciting races. Um, we're gonna have Alex on today, like we do every week, to review and chat. We actually had some fun picking qualifying, picking race results. I won't spoil those results, but it's gonna be fun going over them for sure. But I think the main thing of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix is that the stewards are sitting in that nice air conditioned room, must be scrolling through Instagram stories because they took forever to make a decision on Fernando Alonso, which will be the hot topic of the day. I think they were in there with like a flower petal, like the old school. She loves me, she loves me not. She loves me, she loves me not. And they were in there. Should we give him a penalty? Should we not? Should we give him a penalty? Should we not? Then they gave him one, took him one away. But it was a mess. But honestly, it was probably the only exciting thing that happened towards the end of the race. So not much to go on, uh, but it was a solid day for Red Bull, just like usual. That hot streak continues for them. We don't see that changing anytime soon. Race was good coverage, good commentators. The usual guys did their best there, Martin and Crofty. So all solid stuff there. I know as far as the end of this show, when it gets into all things racing, I did not get to see too much stuff this week. I saw a little bit of World of Outlaws stuff. I missed Supercross. I'll probably watch that tonight. That's tough with that being on the Peacock through Xfinity for myself. So can't like stream it to my phone or any device. I gotta watch it on the TV. So that's a little tough. But you guys are all here for Formula One. We're here for Formula One. A couple good days of practice, good day of qualifying. And yeah, so let's get started. We're going to get my boy Alex in here. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, Johnson? How are you feeling about the
Oh,
weekend?
how am I feeling about the weekend? I'm feeling like when we go over the pick situation, I got absolutely crushed. Like, oh my gosh, I got absolutely crushed. I will
I
say,
I, I got
go
luck of
ahead.
the draw.
Look at
I
the
got luck
draft.
of the draw there. Yeah, that was
No. You put your brain
I,
to it. You put your brain to some
yeah.
stuff you
To
were
an
saying.
extent. I mean, Check was a good track racer. Or, I'm sorry, a good street racing. But
Yep.
Max looked untouchable the entire weekend, and if it wasn't for that technical difficulty he suffered there, I think Max would have won this race with plus 20-second gap.
Yeah, I want to pull it up real quick on my Instagram because I want to give the guy, not that I'm probably going to be able to find him on the spot, but one Instagram I follow, it's like a Formula One, like aerodynamic, like the guy gets real technical about everything.
Hmm.
He's predicted the top three correct the first 2 weeks in a row. Like the top three dead on,
He
which is,
had he had Max out of the top three.
yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, he
that
had Sergio Max and Alonso this week, which was
Oh,
pretty
you're talking
fun
about
for
the
me.
race, overall race.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
the
I think
race,
like
the race.
qualifying. Gotcha.
No, race 2 weeks in a row though. He's been 100% accurate. Me and you are over here fishing, trying to get one or two right, but this guy's over here hitting
Close.
100%. But I actually so you kind of got me fired up on this. You don't even know about it yet. So I thought you were gonna be the one with the hot takes on the show, but you're gonna make me look like the crazy guy, and I'm okay with that.
Okay,
But
let's hear it.
I saw a post today on ESPN F1, and it was like Sergio's wins at Jeddah, Singapore, Baku, and Monaco, and then King of the Streets with the crown emoji. And you were in here last
Yeah.
week saying Sergio is good at street races, but I want to put that to bed because I don't think he is like king of these streets. I
I,
don't.
I don't think he's king of the streets either. I think he's uh Sergio's a really good defensive driver. He knows how to cut off like that's why he's so good against Lewis, is because like he knows how to just cut Lewis off. He knows how to like just make that car as wide as possible. And in these street races, there's not a lot of overtaking. You know, Jeddah's probably like, I think the only street race that I can think off the top of my head that's like probably decent for overtaking. And it's only because of the long DRS they have towards, is it 16, turn 16 around there? I forget what turn it is.
Yeah,
But
they have
that's
three
about it.
DRS zones there. So
Yeah, but it's like the only like Monaco you can't overtake at all. Like the only overtakes that happen in Monaco are like through the pits
yep,
and
yep,
strategy and what's up. As long as you don't crash into the wall, you're not where you're qualifying is probably where you're gonna finish.
yeah. But like
And
we can always say like, or not always, but like a lot of times, and this is gonna be like people can tear me apart for this, but be like, because I'm gonna say like, he won these races, but right. So like last
yeah,
week, Max Verstappen wins that race. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Fastest car, nothing,
mm-hmm.
right? Like that's straight
It
win.
killed it.
If like I want to count these back, Jeddah, what happens to Max yesterday or Saturday? He starts
Qualify.
15th place.
15. Yep.
Singapore last year, I don't know if you remember, that was like the rain qualifying. He was putting in purple sectors in his qualifying lap. They told him to slow down because they wanted him to be the last car to cross the line because the track was getting faster.
Mm-hmm.
And then on that lap, they told him to come in because they didn't have enough fuel. So he started like 12th, and there was no passing in the race because it was wet. Then
Yep. Okay.
Baku, he's winning, and he blows a tire. Like, that's not,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And then Monaco,
Yeah.
Sergio wrecks himself, so Max can't put in a faster lap and qualify. Like no offense.
Checo. No,
hasn't,
okay, I'll give you all those but Monaco, because Monaco, yes, whether he wrecked himself or not, Checo was on in that Monaco qualifying. I think he would have locked that one out.
I don't think so. I think Max is beating him. I think, and that's why he knew he had to wreck himself.
I mean, everyone's scared of Max. Max and that Red Bull is just scary.
Yeah, it's just
Scary
like
duo.
King of the Streets is what they're calling him, but in my mind, it's like Red Bull
No,
keeps
of course,
screwing
but
over Max.
yeah, but I wouldn't even say they're screwing over Max. It's just unfortunate stuff that's happening. The
Yeah,
Checo crashing into the wall is like the only way you can say, oh, they screwed over Max or whatever. The gas thing you couldn't predict because like they're telling him to slow down to get that. Just like that all comes down to like strategy, like things. Like it's just part of this. It happens. Like you can't be perfect 24/7.
yeah. I don't know.
I'll
The
agree with
king.
you. I do not think he's king of the streets. I think he's
Okay.
really good at street racing.
Yeah.
I think I'm glad he's getting some sort of credit. And all it is a propaganda thing to just like just to stir people up. That's
Yeah.
all it
And
is. Like
they
no
got
one genuinely believes that.
they got me. I'm stirred. I want to take that crown off.
Exactly.
And I like him. I like him a lot. But no,
Oh, I
the
love
king of the
Checo.
streets. Let's calm
No,
down
yeah.
there a little bit for sure. All right. So let's start
But that
with
Red Bull, man. Oh
oh
my
man.
God. I forget what it was, a day. I think it was Saturday where they throw in the hard tires on Max and he still put up the fastest time. And
You saw
everybody's trying to put up everybody's on the softs and the mediums and they can't even come close. Like
you.
it was like a half second gap on the hards.
I'm so glad you saw that in practice too, because I was watching that thinking the same exact thing, thinking like these
It's like they're
dudes are
just
on
flexing their
softs
muscles.
and they can't do nothing. So like
It's
you
like
bringing
it's
that up
not even
though,
fair.
it's crazy because I don't know if you heard the comment, but Lewis has now said that he thinks this Red Bull car is the most dominant car he's ever seen in F1. Lewis said that this car is more dominant than any that Mercedes had.
It sucks that Lewis said that because it's obviously to make him look like he's petty and the W11 was it W11? Yeah,
Yeah,
W11, right? Or
yeah.
12.
I think me and you both agree
The
that the
11 had the
W.
dash, right? The dash.
Yeah, that's probably one of the greatest cars ever. So,
But
I,
yeah, it's I don't know. It's I think still a little too early to tell because that W11 was insane but this Red Bull is I don't know, man. It's crazy.
yeah. At one point, they were pumping in like a second a lap faster than like Alonso and like Russell and Hamilton. Like it didn't even matter. Like they were just out front chilling. I think we're gonna continue to see like this Red Bull 1 and 2. Like I like Alonso.
Yeah, for sure.
I like
What
so
was it like?
Alonso.
It was like even without the penalties to Alonso, I think it was like a 15-second gap or 11-second gap or something like that.
Yeah,
And that was
and
Max like taking it off the gas towards the end for a little bit, and then he put it on to get the fastest lap at the end.
yeah, you got to remember that penalty. He served that under caution, and then so
That too.
he started right on their tail. So like everyone's back to zero essentially, right? We'll call it on the
Yep.
restart, and they still gapped them by like what you just said, like 15
Oh,
seconds.
it was yeah something
And
absurd, and that's
and
counting. And Max is coming from the back.
yep, and I think last week everyone was like, "Whoa, well, like Fernando qualified here, and then he dropped down to here, so he had to pass everyone." So like, what happens when he starts up front? Well, we saw what happens when he started up front, and it's still not enough to beat those Red Bulls. It's crazy.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to hop off topic here, but like, where did you get this picture of my head? And like, who did this? Was it you?
You're just seeing this now. I love
No,
it.
no,
I was waiting.
I laughed about it about a few minutes ago, but like,
That's our new. We have a new graphic guy.
oh,
Yeah,
okay. Do I know who he is?
yes, he might be a mutual friend of ours. He works.
Okay.
He works for free, so we appreciate him. But yeah, he hooked me up with some good artwork. So yeah, I didn't know you were on Team Red Bull, but congratulations.
Yeah, neither did I. Thanks, appreciate it. I guess
Oh
I hope,
yes.
I hope they
Oh,
appreciate mediocrity.
oh, I'm gonna cry. Well,
That was
Alex, no,
good.
no offense to your driving skills, but I still think you'd
I
probably
know,
be able
no.
to put. No, you'd put that thing on the podium still. That's how good that car is. Even you would put it
Yeah,
on the
I don't
podium.
know, man. There's a lot of buttons on them steering wheels, bro. I couldn't keep track of all that.
We'd make it in braille so you can see it. Don't worry about it.
Oh, thanks.
But oh man. All right. Well, listen. We talked about the dominating car. Let's go to qualifying on Saturday. What'd you think? Um, Besides
um,
Max, was everything pretty much what? I mean, I would say it's what you expected. You guessed pretty good.
yeah, I think Aston Martin's solidifying that they will be a top 2 to 3 team this year.
Mm-hmm.
Unless some upgrades come in from Ferrari and Mercedes to compete with that. But yeah, pretty much exactly what I expected to happen for the most
Yeah.
part.
I'll go over it real quick. You got Sergio 1. This is qualifying. Sergio 1, Leclerc 2, Fernando 3, George Russell 4, Carlos 5, Lance Stroll 6. I guess the shocker up there would be Ocon at 7th, Lewis 8th. Ooh, Oscar Piastri, he had a great qualifying
Oh,
9th.
he had a good qualifying. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate first lap incident, but then 10th Pierre Gasly. So, I mean, nothing too out of the order. I guess Oscar would be the out of the ordinary there, putting that McLaren so far up.
I was surprised, especially like Lando went out with a problem, right? And so he went out
Yeah,
Q3.
he hit.
Um,
That's crazy that he hit the inside wall in the last turn. Like that's rough. That's rough.
what about Logan Sargent's lap that got deleted? That was
That's
that
messed up.
sucks.
So I
That was
think what did
horrible.
they say because his left
He
front tire hit the pit line?
yeah
Pit.
yeah like went over the I forget it was like some color line or whatever they couldn't go over and he like barely touched it. Yeah, it was
And I think
unfortunate because I remember like they put him on the radio and they're like, yeah, your lap time got deleted or turn 27. He's like, mate, you can't go off the track at turn 27. What are you talking about?
yeah, because that's the last turn with that inside wall so
Yeah.
close, and then the
Hmm.
outside wall with Verstappen hit. There is nowhere to go out. I just don't think they don't have like a designation for the front stretch, but I think you saw like his rookiness right there because I think that lap would have put him into Q2. I
Was it
think.
Q2 or Q3?
No.
That was
No.
on
So he got
Q1.
knocked out in Q1, but I think that lap would have put him
Okay.
into Q2.
Oh yeah, I would have. I think his lap put him at like P6. He would have
Yeah,
gotten into Q2 like no questions asked.
but then the rookiness showed him where like his head was just not.
Yeah,
He couldn't
he could
recover,
no.
and then he
He was
gets
trying too
last.
hard, and
Yeah.
he made. I think he had 2 more laps after that. One he spun out, and then the other one I forget what happened in the other one, but I know he
I
messed up. Yeah,
Yeah, I think he. No, I think he. Like you're saying, I think he hopped the curb and he was worried about damage on his car. Um,
yeah.
but it just
Oh
sucks
yeah, that's
because
right.
it's.
Yeah, I think it went off in turn 22 for a second one.
Yep.
That turn
Yeah.
22 was giving everybody. By the way, Red Bull a few times in the race took that turn 22 and just made their own track.
Yeah. It's crazy. How do you can't like dish out a penalty on it? It's kind of weird.
I mean,
You
everyone
can't.
was struggling with it, but yeah.
You can't put like you can't put like a curb going into the corner, or else it'll be a ramp. Like cars will just start launching into the next country. Um, but like you can't like cause a penalty either. It's just kind of like, well, you do that a few more times, then you get a
I,
penalty.
I feel like they should change the track though because it did seem like it was dangerous at some point. Like they're coming into it and every car was struggling on that turn.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you know they'll keep it until someone wrecks bad and gets hurt, and then
Yeah.
and then it'll be bad. I don't, so I know that track from like playing the video game pretty well. Like I really like it. Um,
Hmm.
but I don't know why I struggle watching that race in particular with the tight camera shots and it all being a street course. Like there's certain times where I can't tell where they are on the track. Like like at Bahrain, like there's like like there's elevation changes and there's like this. So like when
Yeah.
they show the car, I like almost immediately my brain just knows it's that corner. But like
Hmm.
they show these tight camera views at a street track like Jeddah, and like when I'm watching it, I'm like, are they in the beginning half of the track? Are they in the back half? Uh, I was like, I feel like I'm drunk watching this race. Like I have no idea where anyone was the whole time. Um, but no, that's I mean, I think they're back at that track for a few more years, and like you said, they got
Yeah,
three
I know they
DRS zones,
re-signed it. Yeah.
so there's decent amount of passing for a street course. So, um, I like it. That's what I mean. Jeddah
I
would
wonder how they're
definitely
gonna.
be on my keep list.
Yeah, I like Jeddah too. Especially like the qualifying. I think for Jeddah is always the most exciting part. Like Max that one year when they were competing with Hamilton,
Yep.
and he had that car ripping through purple sector. If he didn't crash into the wall, probably would have been one of the greatest qualifying laps of all time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I couldn't agree. Yeah. So right, that was qualifying. Let's uh let's start talking about this race. I feel like we have a lot to talk about in the beginning, and then
Again,
um,
drops off. So,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, it died off. I want to start off by saying, opening lap, two things. Oscar really unfortunate. I think he got squeezed a little bit. Not like it's a big
yeah.
deal. It's kind of a racing
No, it's a
incident.
racing incident for sure.
But I would have loved to have seen him. Not like he just that was it. You had to go to pits, change a wing, and his day was over. Um, but I don't know if you saw Lance Stroll pass Carlos Sainz around the outside of turn
Yeah,
13.
that was
Dude,
a ballsy
that's
move.
a dude. That's a you. His crotch belt was a little tighter that day, if you know what I mean. He was freaking like that's a banking corner, and to send it on the outside, you never see a pass barely on the inside there, let alone the outside there. I was impressed with that. I don't know what you thought of the opening laps of the race, but that one intrigued me for sure.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Lance is showing he has some flash of potential. He's not just a pay driver, even though he's probably the biggest pay driver. But I was impressed. I do feel horrible for Oscar to see what he was doing, and then like even towards the end of Oscar's race, he was competing with Lando Norris. Him and Lando were going at it.
Yeah.
Like Lando has not. It seems like Lando is nervous about his number one seat with Oscar. When he was, they were going at it. They were just towards the end of the race. I think they were just overtaking each other like
Yeah,
all the
well,
time.
that was one of my points. Like the race kind of got so quiet at the end.
Oh
Like
yeah,
they were showing
we're
15,
watching. Yeah,
16,
the
then 17.
McLarens.
Yeah.
The
But you're
McLarens
like,
duke it out.
yeah, but like you were saying, I think it was interesting because Oscar had that hard tire on. So I think towards the end, like Lando's medium tire fell off,
Yeah,
so
it started
Oscar
to
was
wear off.
definitely
Yeah.
faster. But it took team orders to get them to switch around. Like you said, they were elbows out for sure.
Yeah.
They're,
Oh.
I like it. They're both young, trying to prove a point. So
Now, do we know what happened to Lance? So, like, what exactly were the technical difficulties? Because I was at this point, I was like, you knew what happened yesterday. I wasn't able to watch the entire race,
yeah,
but I do know like Lance had some technical difficulties, and they put a yellow flag out, and it closed the gap from Alonso to Checo, and then on the restart, Checo just took off.
yeah.
But what happened to
So
Lance's car?
well, so they said it was just engine issues.
Okay.
I don't know if anything caught on fire. Maybe the track marshals were overreacting to like the brakes getting hot because I saw they sprayed the fire extinguishers on it.
Hmm.
Um, but the first couple laps, so Lance gets settled in kind of behind George, but he's not catching him. And then and then I think Carlos is about to pass him. Ferrari says box box, and they box Lance Stroll. Carlos stays out, overcuts him, and then I even think they got Leclerc in and Leclerc out ahead of Lance because Lance was having trouble warming up his tires. They said, but then two
Yep.
laps later he stopped with the engine troubles. And I read something today, and Lance said he was dealing with those engine troubles for 7 or 8 laps. Um,
Okay.
so I think because it was a big deal, it was like, oh my God, Lance just got overcut by two Ferraris, which is nuts. Um, that Ferrari actually did something decent called a dummy call and overcut. They were like looking like they were geniuses for once. But then I think it just come to find out like he just had crap or the engine was bad. So
Gotcha.
But I don't know if you thought it. I thought it was interesting. So they call the full safety car out.
Yeah, he parked it in a good spot too,
I
from what he was
agree.
available to.
Yeah, the commentators said that on their GPS it showed that he was still on the track, so that's why they called it.
Oh, okay.
Do you not have a camera though? Because I'm pretty sure we saw pretty fast that he was like is there not like one screen in their room that's like the ESPN coverage, and they're like, oh, he is like pretty much off the track, like a virtual safety car at most, but
Yeah, I think the virtual safety car were done. Yeah, I agree with you. Especially they have cameras on the cars. Like you can't tell me you can't figure out where it is.
they do it. You're right. They have cameras on the car, and they have front and back cameras. So like his front looked, the camera view looked weird, but if they would have checked the back camera, they would have
Back,
saw
you would have been
like,
fine.
yeah, he was off the track. So you brought. I think that full safety car. I think it helped Max, obviously.
Hmm.
Um,
I
I
yeah.
think it. I think it hurt Lewis, in my opinion.
You think so?
Yeah. I don't know if
He didn't pit
I
before that. He pit during the safety car, right?
yeah. So everyone else in the top whatever besides Leclerc starts off on mediums. Leclerc in 12th starts off on softs. That's why Leclerc was
Hmm.
making moves. Leclerc passed Lewis. He passed everyone. But Lewis on those hards, I forget who it was, he caught Ocon. Ocon pitted, and then they told him a little bit later that his pace on the hards was as good as like George on the mediums was. So I think his hards were about to come into play, and then he would have
Okay.
had better mediums at the end. And I think what happened was is that it was good. It was good for track position for Lewis,
Hmm.
but then he had to do 30 laps on mediums, and I personally don't think that he pushed the car at all. Because if you watched like after that caution,
Yeah.
he just stays behind Lance. He keeps like his same gap. So like track position wise, yeah, Lewis made out fine. He was on mediums. He passed sights fast, and then it was kind of like, oh, is he gonna catch George? Is he gonna pass um, Fernando with those fresh mediums? But I think he had to. I think he had to like. I
Slow
think he had to
down.
save him for 30 laps.
Yeah.
So I personally think it hurt his overall race strategy, but I don't know. I guess we'll never know. You got to play with the cards you're dealt. So, uh, did you did you see the safety car? Or did you have to go before that?
I saw. I think I left right after the safety car. I saw Checo take off, and I saw Checo just like because I remember lap one, Alonso overtake Checo, and that was a big worry about okay, is he gonna be able to do it again? To hold Checo back because I at this point Red Bull I think was solidifying like they had the fastest car. It was
Yeah,
gonna be a Red Bull 1-2, one or the other, but it was more of if Checo gets overtaken by Alonso, they're just gonna give team orders for like Max to take over.
yeah,
And I think that definitely would have been a thing had Checo got taken over by Alonso. But Checo had a great restart, blew him out the water, and Alonso was defending George,
yeah, yep,
which was a shocker to me because I could not believe like Russell got a better start than Alonso.
yeah. Well, it was interesting. The reason I asked about that caution because I don't know if you saw. So they tell Hamilton in the pits that he's going to be close to Carlos on pit exit, and Carlos
Mm-hmm.
beats Hamilton out. But then Leclerc comes and he sees Hamilton. I don't know if you've heard this. And then on the radio,
Mm-hmm.
Leclerc
Yep.
goes, "Why didn't you guys tell me?" And then
Yeah.
his chief engineer or his engineer said something, and he's like, "Okay, but no, you got to tell me sooner." Like that right there is Ferrari. Like you can't like it's week after week that we talk about this nonsense, is it not? Like
It's always Charles. It's
it's
always Charles.
it's
like,
always
and
Charles,
he's so patient. Can you imagine if Max was in those shoes?
dude.
What he would be saying to his engineers?
I love that. Max is the perfect person to bring up there because he would freak out. Oh my god. How
Even
about
in that like the last lap, and he's like, yeah, we're not worried about the fastest lap. Oh, I am.
yeah. Well, so I don't like so Max has reliability issues towards the end. He's telling them that he thinks the drive shaft
Yeah.
is going. So he asks for fastest lap. They're obviously going to tell him to not worry about it because they don't want him to push it in the car to break. But you're right. That's Max, and that's a big difference between Max and Charles. We're not worried about the fastest lap. I am. Oh my gosh. How about
I
Perez on the radio too though? They asked him to slow down at the end because the race was in hand. And his
mhm.
first thing was, "Did you ask Max to slow down?" Like there's tension over there
There's
for
there's
sure.
tension for sure, but it's just like Checo has no standing ground because like Max is gonna win. He
Yeah.
can't do anything about it.
Yeah, like if Max doesn't start that race in 15th, he wins that race.
Oh, 100%. You texted me. I remember you like you watching qualifying. I'm like, yep, and I'm like, Max is still gonna win this race.
Yeah. Well, and then I had another buddy text me, and he said that the odds for Max to win the race, I think, was like still like either minus 180 or plus 180, which like starting 15th in Formula One, the like first of all, you
Especially in our
shouldn't be a
track, especially in
favorite.
street racing,
It's
especially
oh
in
my,
street racing.
but that's how much Vegas thought like he could still win this race from 15th. And if anything
And
happened to Perez, he was winning that race. Like
oh, 100%.
that's disgusting how fast that Red Bull is. But
Like I
I
said,
mean,
that qualifying on hards, like it's just slap in the face. He's like pulling half a second gaps on hards when everyone's just trying to get the mediums and smalls to go. Or I'm
yeah,
sorry, the softs to go.
yeah, no, it's crazy how fast that car is. But that was kind of the race. Like after that safety car, Max gets who does Max? I think Max passes George and then Fernando, I believe, and
Mm-hmm.
then Lewis passes Carlos, and then
Yep,
that's your race
that was
over.
great. That was a fantastic overtake by Lewis, though.
Yeah. Oh, he
That was
played him. That
genius. Yeah, he
yeah.
played. He played. That's experience coming through for sure.
That was good. I also think too. Speaking of overtakes, is that if you watch like Max, I think it's getting scary how good he is because he's maturing and getting patient. Like I believe like he rolled up on so many people with DRS coming into the last turn. He would back off early, not pass them,
Mm.
and then pass them down the front straightaway, no problem. Like maybe young Max would try to pass some more of those guys into that last corner, but like he knows he has the fastest car. He's driving with his head on his shoulders. This Max Verstappen version is scary right now.
Dude, I would. I think the best drivers, if I were to like just throw an S tier for the drivers right now, it's Max, Lewis, and Fernando. I think those three are a cut above everybody else, and I'd love to see all of them in the same machinery.
Yep.
It
Because
would be exciting.
yeah, because we know Lance had the engine troubles, but like still, these past 2 weeks, Fernando has
Uh,
outdrove Lance.
yeah,
So like,
not even a question. But even if you
and
throw anyone else in that seat, I think like who would you put in Lance's seat? And honestly, is going to be competing with Fernando, other than the three I mentioned.
I put
Maybe
Lando,
George.
I put Lando in there.
Oh, Lando. Yeah, Lando. True. Lando could
Yeah,
probably compete.
young Lando would wheel that thing. We can't forget like
Mm,
Lando's got some podiums. Maybe
yeah,
if he
he's
was with
outdriven
some
that car. He's outdriven that car. That's for sure.
oh big time, big time, big time. But yeah, so that was kind of the race after that safety car. It was interesting to see that Mercedes. I don't know if we want to call it closing the gap because Ferrari looked like they struggled all weekend. But Mercedes, I mean, the race was two Red Bulls and Aston Martin. Then it was two Mercedes, two
Hmm.
Ferraris, and then I think it
Yeah,
was two Alpines. Like that it was
yeah.
very constructor tight in the top 10. But Mercedes ahead of Ferrari. I didn't expect that so quick. I don't know about you.
No, I think we'll see what the next few tracks come into fruition, how much Ferrari looks. But like, I think everybody's so harping on Mercedes because I think we all. I'm just gonna talk about the elephant in the room here. We all want to see Lewis and Max go at it.
Yep.
We want to see the two best in Formula One right now in the best cars and just go at it and have that rematch that rightfully deserved for Lewis and Max for the drivers' championship.
Yep.
But that being said, it's not going to happen this season. We don't know if it's ever going to happen. Everyone's talking about Mercedes because Mercedes can't provide a car for them to do that. So because everyone's talking about Mercedes, no, I feel like everyone's forgetting about Ferrari. Ferrari should be getting harped on a little bit more. I think there's no reason Ferrari should be behind Mercedes.
No, I no, I gotta agree with you. And I think this next track will be a well. Ferrari was very good at Jeddah last year, and they were not so great yesterday. Now
Mm-hmm.
you can't forget Charles stomped the field in Australia, which we'll talk about next week on the preview for the Australian Grand Prix. So I think next week will be a good indicator too. But you're right, like Mercedes didn't take a big step forward in the off season. So like Ferrari should, even if they would have taken a little step, should have been ahead of Mercedes.
Mercedes didn't take a step forward at all. If anywhere, they're stagnant to where they were. The only team that really took a step forward is like Red Bull and Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Really.
No, I think the heat needs to be turned up in the kitchen at Ferrari big time. Um, but
Just curious, like, did they keep the same technical director, like the design guy? Because I know they got
Um,
rid of a lot of people there.
yeah, that I don't know. I mean, obviously the big layoff was
Matia.
Mateo. Yeah,
Mm.
Mateo going. But I do know there was a whole bunch of other changes there too. It's I like that you bring up the fact that we want to see Lewis and Max because so oh well here I'll bring us back to it. But so you saw they gave Fernando the penalty and then they took it
Mm.
away, right?
Yeah.
Just some like Instagram stuff. Apparently, Aston Martin showed a whole bunch of videos of people in the penalties touching the car before. It was kind of
Okay.
like, look at all these
The thing.
videos of guys touching the car and they've never gotten a penalty. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Because that was the thing that they said that
Yeah.
Jack
The
touched.
jack, the
Yeah,
rear jack.
yeah.
I,
So they showed
yeah.
them videos of the rear jack touching before it started. Um,
Mm.
and then so someone commented, well, I wonder if Mercedes showed them a whole bunch of examples of races ending under caution like they should have, talking about Abu Dhabi. And then there were a whole bunch of people in the comments were like, yo, that was a year and a half ago. You got to let it go.
It's
Some
never.
people really
It's
won't let it
never
go.
gonna end. It's
No,
never gonna drop.
it's not.
It's
And
the.
like one person was like, it was only a year and a
It's
half ago and it was the biggest robbery in all of sports.
100%. You're the big. This is the biggest racing sport in the world. It's the most famous. It's all over the world now, especially in America now. And you're asking people to just blatantly watch a robbery happen right in front of them, and they're just never gonna let it go. I'm sorry, I'm never gonna let it go.
No, listen, and me either. And I think some of these people were like, "Oh, this is so bad for like good Lewis Hamilton fans, like saying that like we're bad fans because we won't let it go." If you do your history in this sport, right? So
Mm-hmm.
Red Bull has now won. They won constructors last year. They're gonna win it again this year. Okay. You look back.
Mm-hmm.
Mercedes wins for 8 years. Okay.
Yeah,
Who wins before that?
Red Bull had four, right? Or
Yep,
yeah,
Red
four.
Bull wins four. You look back, I think maybe like there was like an outlier of like Braun winning one, but like you
Braun, so
look back
Mercedes.
more, how many did Ferrari win?
Ferrari had four, right?
Like
Four.
in my mind, like the constructor like in the cars, they go on streaks. That's just kind of what the history has told us. Like
Yeah,
one car is going to be dominant. So now I feel like I know I'm going to not remember Abu Dhabi, but like that was like Lewis's chance. Like Lewis might not get another chance. Like if this streak continues, that
yeah,
Red Bull like that might be it. And it does not look like Red Bull is slowing down anytime soon.
yeah.
Yeah,
Adrian Newey's a tactical genius, but
yeah,
yeah, I gotta agree with you there. It's never gonna be like, oh, I think fans just have to accept that those comments are always gonna be coming in. Even last year when they were talking about Red Bull overpaying for overspending on the budget, that blew my mind. The defense to that, I was like, yeah, we overspent on our culinary department.
yeah.
I was like, what? How?
So
What
that's
was it?
me. It was
At
like,
first, it was. At first, it was like, was it like 7 mil at first, and then it was like 1.8 after they fixed everything.
yeah, that's all shady. That's so shady. The best thing was like Daniel Ricciardo getting paid 18 million to not drive for McLaren and eat Red Bull's expensive culinary meals. Oh, I love a good Danny Rick meme. But dude, how about though the stewards? Like that incident happens on lap 15. They
Yeah.
don't give him a time. They don't give him any penalty for the rest of the race. Like right, so he gets his first penalty. He was clearly not in his correct starting spot. Right, that's not.
Yeah, see, my thing about the penalty, even to begin with, just to harp on that real quick, is like with Ocon, I can understand it a little bit more from the first race from Bahrain because it almost gives him an advantage because everybody goes towards the inside gap anyways.
Yeah,
But in Fernando's situation, I don't feel like he got much of an advantage by doing what he did. If anything, he was kind of hindering himself.
yeah. I'm with you.
But
I mean, they have to
I
stick to the
understand the
letter.
penalty.
Yeah,
They have to stick to the rules. He did break it. Um, but yeah, there's no reason it took what 35 laps to
yeah,
figure out, and not even 35 the podium celebration, which is 15-20 minutes after the race.
yeah.
For like, how did it take you that long? And then the way they announced it blew my mind. I was like, how unprofessional do you have to be? Where George is in the middle of an interview post race, he's like, yeah, by the way, you got third place.
Yeah. Well, and then how much of a joke do they look like? There's that. And then now we all know that they had to go get the trophy back from George and strip George of the third. Like, what are you guys doing? 35 laps. plus this extra time, like, and and if like my memory serves me correct, there was no penalties. There was honestly no drama after like the last 35 laps of the race. It's not like there was like other stuff going on where they were dishing out penalties and having to watch this, that, and the other. Like there was nothing going on in that race whatsoever. So like, how do you take so long? It makes it look like a joke.
It does. The stewards are different from race to race, right? I know like the
Um,
head guy stays the same like throughout X amount of races, but like I
yeah.
think that's a big problem.
Well, I think they had to adjust some of their stuff after, yeah, what we talked about,
Yeah.
Abu Dhabi 21. But yeah, it just seems silly. I don't
I
know.
just don't like it's such a prestigious sport, and it seems like they cannot figure out this steward situation. Like
Yeah,
everything is especially like because every team seems to have some sort of open line communication with the stewards to sit there and argue their point. Which I know they wanted to cut that out after Abu Dhabi 21 with Horner talking to what Mikey
yeah. Michael and Massey, I think, for the most part.
Massey talking to Massey, and then Toto talking to Massey. Like that open line communication shouldn't be a thing. Like at the end of the day, what the I'm just gonna call them the refs because every sport I played, they're the refs. Whatever they say is final, and they have to accept the call, whatever it be. But they're so flaky with everything. It's like everyone approaches it differently, and it I don't know. It has to be solidified. They have to do better. There's
Yeah,
no reason it should take them 35 laps to figure this out.
yeah.
Plus the extra time after.
And I know sometimes like racing incidents, like on track incidents, are hard to decipher what's what. But really, like 35 laps for a pit like incident, like really, that's not that can't happen. But
I
um,
also think like drivers like because I remember when they were talking about Fernando lining up, how he lined up. They were talking about how that would be an advantage in the wet, but not in a dry. And a driver like Seb would have taken advantage of that. So I think because of drivers like that existing, it's also become a little bit more difficult to decipher some of the penalties, like how how gray are they really willing to like make things
yeah.
let things slide.
Well, I think that it's almost like because of like Abu Dhabi and now that the sport's getting bigger, like they have so many eyes on them. I think they're feeling like a lot of pressure to make the right call.
Yeah.
And sometimes pressure makes diamonds, and sometimes pressure cracks people. And I think it's kind of cracking the stewards in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I can agree with you there for sure.
So before we take a look at our picks and our new game that we started this week, I want to talk about two people that didn't. Well, one that finished, but and then one that not finished not well. Alex Albon, again. I tried to say that Sargent was going to handle the business. You said Albon, and I think he was running a great race before his brakes went, and he had to retire the car. So
Hmm.
I got to give you your nod there. You're good there. And then one driver that I felt like was just sad, Bottas all race, riding around in the back.
Oh yeah.
I just looked real quick. He thinks that maybe he hit debris on lap one and that his diffuser was messed up because he said he had no grip
Uh,
like all race.
maybe I know. Yeah, it might have been Piastri's wing probably.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
yeah,
I think that was
that
like close
sucks.
contact, right?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
I can think of.
So
Yeah,
um, and then that's pretty much it. Again, I mean, just
Stroll,
bring up
DNF.
real quick. Alpine. I mean that's pretty good. Eighth and ninth. Esteban Pierre. I mean they did solid. Magnussen battled. I know you didn't get to catch the end of it, but Magnussen battled with Yuki for like a
I did
bunch of
see
laps.
that. I did.
Yeah,
So yeah, I rewatched the race today. Not the
yeah,
race. I rewatched like a 30-minute like highlight reel of it today, and I did see that. And Yuki on the radio is like, as soon as he gets overtaken, he's like, I
he's like,
love. I know he's got a temper, but it's so funny.
yeah,
He gets overtaken. He's like, fuck.
yeah. I'm glad that it's not like I'm not on the team and have to deal with it, but like to sit back and watch it, it is entertaining for sure. Um, so yeah, but Magnuson putting that Haas up there for a single point, they'll appreciate that. 10th, Yuki 11th, Nico's not far. I mean 12th. You're not far off your teammate. Oh no, I lost Alex. All right, well that happens on the show. Nico close to Kevin is good though in 12th. Joe Guan Yu 13th. Nick DeVries 14th. Oscar Piastri 15th. Sargent 16th. Lando 17th. It was honestly the battle they were showing us for most of the race, which was weird. That I mean that just is what it is that they were showing us 15th, 16th, and 17th. But I do think that Lando. I think his car was okay, and then I think those medium tires went away, and that's why Piastri looked good. I wonder if that Piastri could have gotten ahead of Lando earlier and passed Sargent a little bit earlier if he had a speed to catch De Vries, but I mean, we'll never know. So we were just about to go into our picks before I lost my co-host here. That's all right. We'll be okay without him until he comes back. I feel bad because I didn't want to tell you guys this, but Alex did absolutely smoke me on the pick section. So we'll have to get him back in here. But yeah, I think we went over pretty much everything that I wanted to discuss. If you guys had any comments on the race, love to hear them. It's a good one. I mean, we're getting ready for Australia. We'll have another show next Monday at 5:30, kind of going over some history of the race, who's going to be fast, who's not going to be fast. Not that we know, but just based off of past years. That's another street circuit, Australia. I do not believe, as I pull out my calendar to look for you guys real quick. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I'll if you want to watch the Grand Prix, you have to be up from 1 to 3 a.m. Eastern time. So not easy for us on the East Coast. But, I mean, those Aussies, they deserve a good race in their own time zone. Because I'm sure if we're watching at 1 a.m., they're getting screwed on some other time zones. So Australia in 2 weeks, and we'll go over that. Yeah, I'm going to see if Alex will get back in here. We'll go to that other screen. Maybe we just lost him. His phone probably died. You know what I'll do while we wait to get him back in here? We'll go to our all racing segment. Talk about some of the stuff that went on this week. We'll go to NASCAR. We'll go to NASCAR here. We'll check out what happened. So they were at Atlanta this week. I don't know how you guys feel about Atlanta. I don't really know if I was looking for another mini super speedway to get added to the schedule. I know when I was watching the Cup race on Sunday, I turned it on and they were in their typical super speedway, just follow each other in one line. It's what they have to do. There's nothing wrong with it. They're just, there's no need to get aggressive and wreck with X amount of laps to go, but they all have to just stay in the draft. So that draft kind of makes that mid-race of the middle part of that race boring. I know I turned it off. I turned it back on with 2 to go, and the ending was exciting, just like they always are at super speedways. So you get a lot of bang for your buck at the end. It's just that middle part of the race kind of really dies out there. So that was just me talking about Atlanta. As you're looking over here, truck race, I don't know most of these guys. John Hunter Nemechek third. Joe Hunter Nemechek, excuse me. DiBenedetto 6th, Rhodes 5th. Eckes, that was a big win for him. I know a lot of people on my Facebook were excited to see him catch the W, so that was pretty cool. Xfinity Series, I didn't catch much of this race. Austin Hill, Daniel Hemrick, Ryan Truex, Parker Kligerman, I kind of wanted to see him win, and this was a good chance for him to win at the Xfinity race. And then the Cup race, Joey Logano brings her home. Brad Keselowski was looking good, but he's looking for that first win in 2021, I believe they said was his last win. And that was, I don't want to say it was his best chance, but it was probably one of his better chances. Logano first, Seabell third, Corey LaJoie fourth, Tyler Reddick fifth. That's a big fourth place for Corey LaJoie. Probably up there on one of his best finishes, if not his best. Hamlin, Blaney, Jones, Gibbs rounds out your top 10. My guy, Ryan Prix, was driving around all day on 7 cylinders, but from early on too. And unfortunately, that's an awful day for him. He's got to ride around, not going nearly as fast as he wants to be going. And this is what happens. But you have to stay out there because he beat all these people when they crash and they all get DNFs. And you get those points. So you got to stay there for that, unfortunately. But that was that. The only other thing I watched this week um, was the World of Outlaws. Um, it was a good race. I believe they were at Port Royal Saturday night is what I watched. Rico Abreu's first race of the season is what they were saying since the Chili Bowl. He gets the victory. That was good for him. Um, yeah, so that was good for him. I think Brad Sweet took second. Our guy David Gravel's running third. Oh no, I don't believe either Sweet got second or third. And then someone whose name I'm not familiar with was up there dicing it up. I know David was up third and fourth. He started dropping back quick at the end. I don't know what happened to him. I'm going to assume that there was car issues. There was some car issues, or else he would have been up there. Because I've never seen him drop off that fast. Even if it was like the car dropping off, even if the car was going away a little bit, he was dropping back so many positions on those last couple laps that I'm pretty sure something had to be wrong. So gonna give one last attempt to get Alex back in here. If not, probably just shut down the stream for the day. Like I said, we'll be back next Monday, 5:30. We want to talk about that Australian Grand Prix. Keep this thing running weekly. You guys have been really great joining in. Views have been good for us. So we appreciate that. We'll get this chat going here down the road because we can't wait to hear from you guys and hear what you guys got to say. So, all right. I'm losing Alex, but I want to put it up on the stream, our pick section, because he did such a good job here. All right, so these were our picks. This was a first segment that we've done. First time. We should have done it last week. It would have been pretty neat, but we did it this week, and that's okay. We'll keep it going, and we'll have a lot of fun with it. But so we picked. We guessed our top 5. All right. So Alex, as you can see there in the middle of the screen, he picked Max Verstappen, Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton. For my top 5, I picked Max Verstappen, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, Lewis Hamilton, Fernando Alonso. So point system goes 5 points if you guess the winner correctly, 3 points if your person is in their right position, and then 1 point if the driver is in the top 5 correctly. So as you can see, he had Fernando third, and Fernando finished third. He had Lewis fifth, and Fernando finished. Fernando third, he didn't finish third. Lewis finished fifth, and that's where he finished. So he gets 3 points for each of those, so that's 6. And then he got a point each for Max and Sergio being in the top 5, but not being in their right position. As you see, him and I both had Charles Leclerc inside our top 5, but he did not finish in the top 5, so that is no points. And I got 4 out of the top 5 correct. I just did not get the right order right at all. So Alex is leading this deal, 8-4. He also smoked me in qualifying. I know we're not keeping track of that, but he gets the top 3 much better than I did. So a little bit of a deficit here, 4-point deficit. We can climb back to that. So that is that. Thank you for watching. The like and subscribe button, they mean a lot if you can hit those things at the end. We really appreciate you guys tuning in every week. We're probably, we keep bringing in these new pick segments, and we kind of got new segment coming in next week for you gambling addicts. We'll probably just maybe go over some stuff, see what the books are saying about some of the races, because sometimes Vegas always seems to know. Sometimes they might know the winner, but they'll catch you on a crazy top 5, maybe crazy odds. So we'll pay attention to Vegas. I've never paid attention to them when it comes to racing, so we'll see how much they know about that. But until next week, guys, see you later. Thank you for watching the whole story. We're sorry Alex dropped out. I know he will be here obviously next week with us, and we'll get that fixed. So all right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Take care.